With the Unity module of the International Space Station in place, Mission Control in Houston awoke the astronauts on the Space Shuttle Endeavour Sunday morning to conclude their chase of the Zarya control module with a thought suggested by Commander Bob Cabana's daughter.
Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
Endeavour Houston, good morning, and that long-distance dedication was to Bob from Sarah.
Well, dreams certainly do come true, Beamer. For all those that are persistent and keep the faith, it is going to be a great day.
Cabana and his crewmates moved right into their rendezvous operations, and he reported to spacecraft communicator Chris Hadfield early Sunday afternoon a successful terminal initiation burn of Endeavour's thrusters to close the final few miles to Zarya.
Houston Endeavour, we see an excellent TI burn, no trim required.
We concur. You are on an intercept with Zarya.
Over the next orbit, Cabana and pilot Rick Sturko flew Endeavour to within a few hundred feet of Zarya. Once he reached a point 250 feet above the Russian-built module, Cabana began slowly flying his ship down toward the 22-ton spacecraft, as mission specialist Nancy Curry prepared the shuttle's robot arm for the job of grappling Zarya from free flight. With everything in place, as they flew 240 miles above Central Asia, Curry moved in and completed the grapple, which Cabana reported to Mission Control.
Houston Endeavour, we have Zarya firmly attached to the orbiter. We're halfway home for the day.
A lot of people exhaling down here. That's great, and we had a terrific view from Zarya watching Nancy's great work.
Curry's next task was to slowly and carefully move Zarya to a position above the pressurized mating adapter mounted to the aft end of Unity, an area that is not in the direct view of the astronauts' eyes or their cameras. To assist in that operation, the shuttle's cameras were trained on the circular targets on both modules. The orbiter's space vision system translated those images into a graphical display of the relative positions of the modules, so Curry could precisely align the two docking surfaces. The astronauts worked closely with flight controllers in Houston to ensure that the two massive pieces of hardware were ready. Then Cabana fired thrusters on the shuttle to push Unity into the docking mechanism of Zarya and mate the first two pieces of the International Space Station.
Houston Endeavour, we have capture of Zarya.
We copy. Congratulations to the crew of the good ship Endeavour. That's terrific.
The next step, retract the pressurized mating adapter's docking ring to bring the surfaces of the two modules together. But as mission specialist Jerry Ross did so, flight controllers noticed a misalignment of the two modules. He was directed to re-extend the ring and repeat the procedure twice. Each effort produced the same result. After more study of the matter by the flight control teams, Hadfield and Ross, who were crewmates on the 1995 shuttle mission that delivered the docking module to the Mir space station, discussed Mission Control's recommendation for action.
We think the culprit, Jerry, is arm drag. Just the friction, even though we're in test mode, just the drag out of each joint being pushed, even in test mode, is enough. Speaking with Moscow and looking at the signature, which is a steadily ramping increase as if it was a steady drag like that. It's not anything sudden, as if it were a jam. So what we'd like you to do is ungrapple, since we have a good capture.
Okay, we copy that, and that's what I was trying to talk them into doing, Chris. Thanks.
And Jerry, looking back at 74, there was a similar effect on 74, although we don't have any quantification of it here, so that's one more item in our discussion.
Okay, copy. I know we got a lot different arm configuration here, but I can tell you from on STS-87 when the arm was in limp mode, it's certainly not limp when I tried to move it with EVA hands.
As soon as Curry released the robot arm's grip on Zarya, the astronauts and the ground control teams saw the two modules move into proper alignment. Ross then retracted the docking ring fully, completing the hard mate of Zarya to Unity. Curry's next task was to use the cameras on the robot arm to survey Zarya, which has been in space since its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan November 20th. Of particular interest, one of two antennas for Zarya's backup docking system, which did not deploy during the module's activation 2 weeks ago. These pictures will be used by station officials to decide what action, if any, is required. Wrapping up a busy day on orbit, Sturckow and mission specialist Sergei Krikalev joined Ross and his fellow spacewalker Jim Newman in preparing the tools Ross and Newman will use during the spacewalk that's scheduled to begin Monday afternoon, in which they are to make dozens of power and data cable connections between the first two elements of the International Space Station.